And welcome to another exciting episode of Tales from the Podcast. I am your host, JB, here with my co-host, Jack. I'm looking the other way.
What's up?
How's it going, Jack? How you doing, man?
I am tired, honestly. I'm exhausted. I'm sore. I've been preparing for a role that was announced recently, and I am been at the gym every day, and I am extremely sore. And that's the best way to describe how I feel. You know, I haven't worked out this hard since I was in the military, so it sucks being old, man. It does.
I'm sure Seaman Hunter had to work very hard in the military.
you know what? With the name like I had, of course, I had to.
Right. It does make sense. Now, believe it or not, guys, we actually get to do a little sneak peek into this too. We've chatted with the director, Joe Lujan, and we've got the okay to go ahead and show everybody a teaser trailer here in a little while. So hopefully everybody likes that. But before we get going into that, why don't we introduce our special guest for this episode? All right, this is a good friend of mine. Jack, you know him as well. This is my good buddy, Andy Imhoff. Hey, Andy. How you doing? Oh no, your sound. I can't hear you.
Am I lagging?
Oh, there you are. There you are. No, you
there
just
it is.
you didn't even show up.
It's not a bug. It's a feature. Sometimes in StreamYard, it takes a second for the audio to catch up.
Oh, I get it. So I need to go ahead and introduce you, and then wait 5 seconds, and then let you talk. That's gonna look really professional. That's for sure.
Very professional. Listen, StreamYard, any streaming service, this is a hell of a lot better than Zoom. Let me tell you that. I had Zoom absolutely ruin a show for me a couple of weeks ago with a guest that I'd been trying to get on for a long time. I never am going to use Zoom for an episode again. It just ruined me.
Really, I personally don't blame you at all. I tried Zoom with a buddy of mine, and it just didn't work for me. So, Andy, first off, I want to thank you very much, dude, coming on here. We really appreciate it. And for those who don't know, Andy's been on a few times, and he is the host for Pardon My Fork, as well as Boost Booze and Barbecue. Which, even though I'm not a professional cook by any means, I still love to cook. Who the fuck really doesn't? So that show's palpable to everybody. It's awesome. I don't know what the fuck Jack's doing over there with his little block playing on his camera. But
you'll see. It's gonna be good. It'll be good.
It will. All right, we will see. Yeah. So, Andy, before we go ahead and get a little going on everything, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and where people can check out some of these cool podcasts and your live shows that you put on?
Yeah, man. So every Wednesday we do a live wine tasting with our in-house sommelier over on Pardon My Fork, and we're just going out on Facebook Live right now. I'm trying this whole thing of, instead of doing a shotgun blast, we just build an audience and then go from there. So facebook.com/Pardon My Fork, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time. You get to come see us, drink some really fun stuff, join in the conversation. We're answering questions live. We're talking about it. We're engaged. We're having fun guests on. It's always either the person that made the wine, spirit, or beer, or a celebrity guest of some kind. We've got some really, really fun people set up to be coming on. I am not quite at the point where I'm releasing a schedule of that yet, but I can tell you this coming week, we're going to be tasting this It's not even vodka. They call it vodka because there really isn't anything else that it can be, but it's called Lamba Dog. It's a Filipino coconut spirit, okay, and it's 40% alcohol. It's 80 proof. It tastes a little bit coconutty. It's unlike anything I've ever had, and we're going to be doing a deep dive with the distillers, talking about their journey bringing that into the U.S. It's going to be pretty cool.
That sounds really interesting. And you and I have talked off air, and I know you can't actually talk about everything, but I am very, very excited for some of these new things that are going to be coming out, man. I'm very happy for you, and it's awesome, dude, for real. Congratulations, man, for really.
Thank you.
Now, before we go ahead and get too carried away and everything, I do want to tell everybody that I got this really lovely shirt on right now for my good friends over at Paranormal Punchers. So, that's Mark Sheets, Lisha, Nash, and Dave.
I'm a 2X Paranormal Punchers. I'll wear it.
You'll wear it? You'll 2X? All right. Well, you need to go over to TeePublic. No. Actually, for everybody who is interested in Paranormal Punchers, there are podcasts that go and they pretty much dive deeply into cryptids and paranormal experiences and really go very far into very deep into it, pretty much touching every aspect of it. And it's obviously a comedy show too, but it's still really, really good. And not to mention, they also have a really cool comic book too that's actually based off of their show. So it has the actual people from the podcast in their comic book. But, for those who are interested in that, go over to paranormalpunchers.com. They have a store there where you can check out their comic books and everything else, as well as the everything else that they have going on. Now, Andy, we are going to go ahead and say what this actual episode is. And we're going to be talking about season 3, episode 5, Top Billing. Now, how familiar are you with this episode? Is this your first time viewing this one?
This is my first time viewing it. And honestly, this is probably one of the better ones. I mean, what an absolutely star-studded cast. You had talked about that when you reached out to me. But man, watching it, I was just like, holy shit. I've seen all of these people.
Dude, it's everybody in this one. This is one of those episodes where it feels very different in one aspect. Now, when you go and watch a lot of these Tales from the Crypt episodes, one of the things that you notice is that Tales from the Crypt tends to appear kind of early on a lot of these celebrities. So who was the girl, Leah Thompson, the chick that we love. She really wasn't huge by the time she did Tales from the Crypt the way she is nowadays. But some of the people in this episode were top tier actors. Before this was even years before this was even an idea to turn it into a TV show. Some of these people were famous, 10 years after the comic book came out. So it's incredible in that way where, we're getting to see this show kind of switch over to a different kind of light and with some of these other actors in it. And one of the cool things I personally think about this episode is we don't really lose anything either. So we still get that classic Tales from the Crypt vibe and everything, and it's just all around a really personally I think it's I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I really think it's a pretty damn good episode.
It is.
So before we go ahead and get going into this, let's talk about who directed this episode. So this episode was directed by Todd Holland. Now I figured I would do a little bit, because it sounds like Tom Holland. But I was doing some research and I figured out that I don't think he's related to either Tom Hollands, because it looks like the Tom Holland, the director and producer, who is actually the producer for Tales from the Crypt. I couldn't find any information really showing that he was actually related to him, which I thought would have been cool. And I'm pretty sure I didn't find any information on it either, that he's not related to the young kid, Tom Holland, who does the new Spider-Man. But some of the stuff that he's done is The Real O'Neills, Go On, Shameless, 30 Rock, a lot of Malcolm in the Middle, Friends,
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which I actually loved the first season of.
Yeah, dude, he's all over. I did decide to look into some of his stuff because some of the things, especially with TV shows, when you see a director doing like a shitload of episodes, it's like, that's a little different, because usually with these directors, you'll get them doing one-offs. So I looked a little bit deeper, and I actually found out that Todd Holland was actually one of the executive producers for Malcolm in the Middle. So he's the reason that show really existed, and I'm sure that's probably where he got quite a bit of his directing experience too, especially after Tales from the Crypt. But it was still kind of cool, like diving deep into his career and seeing what he was all about. Now, this one right here is one of those names, like, and I know, man, I'm the worst for saying names, but this was written by Miles Berkowitz. I'm pretty sure I nailed it.
I'm not going to be an asshole and be like, it's Berkowitz. Thank you.
Wow. How was I supposed to know? But he's done a few things too. He did a little bit like Charles in Charge, Fast Times, 20 Dates. He's definitely not as big as like Todd Holland, but it's he did have a few things to him before actually getting into this as well. So now, we did say that we did have a all-star cast in this. So this is going to be the fun part. So we get to talk about some of these amazing actors that were in this episode. So we got John Lovitz right away.
Well, but before John Lovitz even is Sandra Bernhard. And the second I saw her, this is going to sound nuts, one of my favorite bad movies, people call it bad, but I honestly don't think it's bad, is Bruce Willis's Hudson Hawk. And she played the villain wife, but she was equally as villainous in the movie. And just I don't know, like that's kind of my one thing. Whenever I see her in anything, I always think about her character in Hudson Hawk. And so it was really interesting seeing her pop up on the screen when I first put this on. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I have a real hard time now anytime somebody mentions Bruce Willis to not go back to the interview I did with Todd or Tim Stacks. Now, Tim Stacks went on and actually, went on a small little talk with us about how much of a douchebag he was. Like, he just was not fun to work with at all, but it was a fucking hilarious time. And Tim Stacks is an amazing guy. For those who don't know who he is, he not only did an episode of Tales from the Crypt, which is My Brother's Keeper, the one where he's attached to another guy, but he was also Knots Johnson in the amazing TV show from the 90s, Son of the Beach. I believe that was a Howard Stern's production. Definitely times were different then. To say the least.
Countless other things too.
Say that again.
Countless other things too.
Oh yeah, dude! Like, his work with the Golden Girls was awesome. He had a really cool story about him and B. Arthur, which was for those who are a little bit more interested in what I'm talking about. Go ahead, check out the episode that we did where I interviewed Tim Stacks. It's a lot of fun. The dude's a great guy, great actor, funny all the way around.
I wish you hadn't brought that up. Now I have this mental image of him getting a BJ from B. Arthur. Why do you do that to me, man?
Well, considering what he said, I highly doubt that happened. Because I'll go ahead and tell you. So hopefully people still want to go back and check out the episode. But he pretty much mentions that B. Arthur just like stared at him and wouldn't even talk to him, and he ended up realizing that it was because he was chewing gum. So it was just a fucking hilarious time.
Dude, now, I love people, not love, like I actually hate people like that, because it's the dumbest thing, but they just stare at you and expect you to figure out, do you know what I'm mad about? No, I don't. You want to tell me, or are we just going to have a stare down?
Exactly. That's exactly how it is. So let's go ahead and let's talk about our first actor in this episode. And thank you, Jack, for popping back up. I know you had a technical difficulty there, but
yeah, obviously on live stream. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, sometimes you have hiccups. What can you do? Just move on.
On one of my episodes of my show, I accidentally was sitting on a microphone and farted during the show. Oh, it was very embarrassing. I completely forgot.
Really?
No.
You sat on a microphone and didn't know.
What kind of gag would you have to set up beforehand for that to happen?
That would be awesome. That would be. I'm surprised you guys don't do little gags like whoopee cushions and stuff. It would just really add to the show, I think.
I mean,
it'd bring a whole new audience.
Well, on the Booze Booze and Barbecue show, Coy does little stuff like that, but people can't see it. Like he'll fart right as we close the door, and then he'll just sit there. And whenever you see him really excited about an episode,
it's because he farted.
Yeah, it's because he did something that just made the rest of us miserable here.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Well, let's go ahead and get back to this episode. So we got John Lovitz. Now, I'm assuming everybody knows who John Lovitz is. I'll just go through some of these people's their bigger films. If you guys want to chime in with any of your favorite work, feel free to. But with John Lovitz, first things coming to my head, stuff like Rat Race, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Three Amigos, Big, Loaded Weapon, Coneheads. Man, Coneheads. I fucking love Coneheads.
Yes.
You know, just like personally, I think John Lovitz is one of those people. Like I'm really kind of sad we don't really see too much of him anymore nowadays.
You know, I always assume that every actor is an asshole, but you know, John Lovitz is one of those guys where he plays the comedy so much, but he really he had an opportunity to show his acting chops here, honestly, because you know, he's the sad, pathetic, whatever. And then he's kind of got some of the, you know, goofy, laughy stuff. But when he gets serious, there's a tangible shift in the episode. It was good.
Yeah, it's actually quite impressive. I think that, you know, just like the ability that he has as an actor. And it's actually funny, you know, me and Andy were chatting about this earlier before we went live, but it's funny that we're doing an episode about actors and we have Jack Hunter on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
you know, like I did want to state that too is what he goes through in this episode is so realistic. Like every single thing about his emotions and the letdown and the defeat of being an actor and going to those auditions, it's more reality in the first 25 minutes than anything. And you know, I don't know if you guys went through the episode, but you know, everything that
we're just
happens
talking about the
is stuff
right
inside
now.
our head that we Oh, okay. But so everything that happens inside his head or inside their, you know, the story is stuff we want to do. You know,
so you had a girlfriend. You had a girlfriend kick you out, and then you got evicted.
You know what?
It's gonna get real now, guys.
We'll get into all that.
No, that was the beginning of my. You know, that was the beginning of my rehab phase back in 2018. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So let's go ahead and move on to our next actor. Now, this is one where not only did I have the opportunity to practice his last name, I'm sure I still didn't get it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and Andy, why don't you go ahead and say Bruce's last name for me?
Yeah, it's Bruce Boxleitner.
Yeah, I suck with last names. I love the dude though, man. Like Tron. What the fuck else do I have to say? I could just stop there, Tron. But you know, I won't. You know,
Tron.
Dead of the Night, Double Jeopardy, Babylon 5, Contagion. This guy's been around.
I forgot about him on that.
Yeah. This dude has been fucking everywhere. And you know, just doing a movie that's just as iconic as Tron, really just like as soon as you see him on screen, it's like instantly you know who he is. And I strongly believe it's probably more because of Tron.
Mm-hmm.
But
he did have one very embarrassing scene in this show, and we'll get to that. You know, it just touching real quick on your inability to pronounce last names. I'm trying to remember what the dude's last name or the first name was, but it was the very first episode you and I did. And it was like Richard Pizzerni or something like that. And you go, it's Richard. And then you lean real close. Piss Ernie. Like I'm not even joking. It was maybe a week ago or less. I was sitting there and I was thinking about that. I wonder what's up with Piss Ernie. I wonder if he's ever going to come up on the show, you know?
I don't know, but you know, going back to that, I do want people to know that yes, I did reach out to Smokey Campbell. Yes, he did agree to come on sometime. No, I'm pretty sure he watched an episode and decided he did not want to come on after hearing what I said about him looking like Eddie Murphy and acting like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, well, he's
still making
Eddie Murphy's.
Like, dude, he literally for that episode brought out his inner Eddie Murphy. Like it was weird to see.
Yeah, man, you're gonna blast me, man. What are you gonna do, man? Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
It was fun.
He's the wish.com version of Eddie Murphy.
For real. Actually, Jack went ahead and pulled up a picture there of Bruce and John. That's that's actually a really good scene. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the other actors in here. We got John Astin. Now, this guy, I absolutely love him. I'm a big fan of the old Addams Family. Not to mention, we're talking about like the original fucking Riddler too.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, he's done stuff like West Side Story.
Wait. He's the original Riddler on Batman and Robin? The crazy eccentric guy?
He's the Riddler from the 1960s Batman with Adam West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mind blown right there. Now, one of the things people might not know, because this film is just not as popular, but he was also in Teen Wolf 2.
He was. No, he was in both. Wait. He was in.
Was he in the first
principal?
One?
Wasn't he the principal? I think he was. I think he was the principal in the first one because I love the. Okay, but maybe you're right. No, it was the coach. It was the coach. Yeah, he was the dean of the college with Jason Bateman as the wolf. I love those movies. So yes, oh my God, you're absolutely. I love both, dude. I swear to God. Okay, backstory. I used to try to change into a wolf at school when I was a kid. I love those movies so much.
All right, I got to put a halt real quick. All right. Here's the big question that I'm sure is on Andy's mind as well. Did it ever work?
Obviously not. And I barely grow chest. I barely grow chest hair, so it didn't even work for puberty.
Sorry, man. Sorry. I mean, I wish I knew what to tell you. I mean, you know what the secret is, man? The secret is believing in yourself.
That's probably some of the best advice any of us have gotten. you just gotta believe in yourself. I love it. I love it. Now, we also got Louise Fletcher in this episode too. Now, for those who don't know, she was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Exorcist 2, Mama Dracula, Firestarter, Flowers in the Attic, Gone Fishing, High School High. She has a hell of a fucking career. Amazing actress. Then we also got Kimmy Robertson in this, and she was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the Willies, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Twin Peaks, Leprechaun 2, as well as The Tick. Now, I don't know about
The Tick.
The Tick was awesome, dude. I used to watch it every day before school. Like, man, I guess I'm a little young, but
she was voiced in the cartoon, I assume, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So the original live action TV show with now I'm blanking on the name, the guy that played the Tick.
Yeah, I forget his name too. I know
he was Putty on Seinfeld. Anyways,
yeah.
The new one I've watched, I have a hard time with it because it is not the same. It just is not the same at all. I think they nailed it on the first one. It was a little bit underfunded and cheesy, but it should have ran 8 seasons. Like, I'm sorry.
Right. That's what made it what it was too. The fact that it was a little bit under budget and kind of cheesy, and it added a lot more of that humor aspect, and I feel like we're kind of seeing some of like what the Tick did with some of the later entries there with the MCU. Yeah, where they're hitting a lot of those comedy aspects of it, like Guardians of the Galaxy almost, where it's just a higher budget version, but it's still really cool, and it really brings an audience, especially with that humor. And I absolutely love that old Tick. Man, that was it was a lot of fun growing up watching that. Now in this, go ahead.
Just one more thing, I do have the DVD box set.
Do you really? Of the Tick?
Yeah, of the live action Tick, the first one. Yeah.
That's fucking sweet. You need to hold on to that. That's going to be a collector's item one of these days.
I don't know about that. I'm about to wear those DVDs out. I mean, if I'm just ever having a bad day, I throw that on, and it makes for a great day.
Really?
Oh,
now, the original Tick show with the animated series?
No, the live action one. The live action one from the early 2000s.
Yeah, with
the
Putty from Seinfeld.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Wow.
If you haven't watched it, you're doing a disservice.
I you know what? As a superhero fan, I had to watch it, and a Tick fan of the cartoon. It's just it made everything right, you know. But what I will say this, since you're talking about Tick, I hate that they remade it and they recast. Like
Me
it
too.
was that was the worst thing they could do, really.
Yeah,
only lasted,
well,
what, one
unfortunately,
season?
in our lifetimes, we'll probably see it remade another time as well, and it
Mhm.
probably will not be as good as the second time, even for us. But that's just one of the joys of watching a lot of film. You know, you end up having to see the same thing over and over again, and you know, sometimes it's done very well, sometimes it's not. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be bad. You know.
Well, you know, on that same vein, I
You
mean,
never,
since we brought up Seinfeld, the next actor, Paul Benedict,
yes.
he was actually in an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah, he was actually in an episode of a lot of stuff.
That's a good
but,
point.
but just like an episode, I think his biggest career move was the painting guy on Sesame Street. Like he held that spot for a while, but that was
underrated, I
Hey,
think.
very. But he also did. He was in episodes of Adam's Family as well. So we still got that connection with him and John Aston, which is pretty cool.
He
And,
was hilarious in this episode. I mean, really, like some really great comic relief. He's tall, he's super high pitched and lispy, and when he first swings the door, well, we'll get into all that, but he was really good comic relief for this.
I fucking loved him in this episode, and like, his whole presence, like you've seen him on TV before. As soon as you see him, like the dude's just he you could see that he would just brighten up a room. There's something about him it just catches your eye, and it's really cool. I really like him too.
He's in that club of I recognize him, but from where?
Exactly, and then you look him up, and you're like, oh shit, I recognize him from everywhere.
Every single thing, yeah. And that's what a lot of those 90s actors did. Like if you're in TV, some of them never really made that jump to big screen Hollywood, and that's okay. It happens. But I definitely know that feeling of like, I know this guy, and then like you said, you look up his freaking IMDb and you're like, he was in every single show that I loved. So
right.
yeah,
more often than not, you want to talk about wealthy actors, that's them. I remember the Maytag guy, the old Maytag guy. I remember reading like a list of the highest paid actors, and once you get past all of the big name ones that are in like the sex cults and stuff, you start getting into those bit actors where they've just worked their entire lives in smaller ish roles, and they're all ultra wealthy because they always have work.
Right. But the thing that I think the big part of the reason like a lot of those guys are really, really wealthy is because they don't get that huge paycheck like some of those really big guys do. So I think that their concept of spending money and their lifestyles are different enough to allow for them to be like, yeah, I am worth this much money. And, it actually compares to some of these Hollywood actors.
Right. And plus they're not getting invited to Epstein's Island. So,
yes, you're right. That's for sure.
I'm just saying, like, we don't have to elaborate.
Too soon. Hashtag too soon. Hashtag too soon.
So let's keep this moving. We got Gregory Cook in this episode as well. Now, he was in one movie I'm really not too fond of, but I did see it on opening weekend, Titanic. But he was also in Witchcraft, as well as one of my all-time favorite comedies, Jury Duty.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Believe it or not, guys, JB is a Pauly Shore fan. I think I might be one of the only ones left in existence.
Everybody's a Pauly Shore fan.
No,
I don't realize it yet.
Fair. I think that's a really, really good thing there. Like if you're not a Pauly Shore fan, sit down, watch Encino Man, Biodome, and then tell me that you're not a fan. I'll probably just call you a liar anyway. But he's just fucking amazing.
Yeah, another good one he was in was I'm in the Army Now. That was a great one too.
Yeah. Actually, I just watched that one the other day, dude, and it was the first time ever. Like, I know we're like way off subject right now, but in the Army Now, you get the small cameo. All right, when they're sitting in the tent, like when they first get there and everything, they're shipped off, and you see Brendan Fraser walk across. Now, if you pay a lot of attention and look at his badges and his name is Link from Encino Man. So, like, there's a complete callback to Encino Man in that movie, and I thought it was really, really cool. I'm sure people have noticed it and everything, but it was just something I noticed.
And
recently.
also,
Cool as hell.
And also in Son-in-Law, there's a cameo of him in the very beginning as Link in the dorm.
Exactly. Yeah, like they did it's like the MCU stole from Pauly Shore, connecting all their stuff together.
That's so funny.
In
dude.
the same universe, yeah.
I fucking love it.
Oh.
Now we also had Sheila Winters in this episode. She was in Freaky Friday, Clueless, and Plump Fiction. Not Pulp Fiction, Plump Fiction. Some of Jack's favorite movies. I know he's a huge fan of Clueless.
You know what? Shut your face. Shut your face right now.
I don't want to
hear your negativity.
Special edition Plump Fiction on VHS. So yeah.
Do you really? That's
No.
fucking. Oh, he fucking had me, you asshole.
Sorry.
So, dude, you're completely fine, dude. It's awesome. So, Jack, dude, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about this episode, man? Walk us through it a little bit. Do a little bit more than an IMDb walk.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bring up IMDb. I'm gonna bring up straight memory here. So it starts off with an actor played by John Lovitz, who is actually an actor, obviously, and he gets thrown out, kicked out. His girlfriend leaves him because she doesn't see the end game of him being an actor because he never makes it. He gets like right there and then it's taken away from him. Then he goes to his what do you call those agents to get roles, and then he has this other guy that is always getting the role over him. So what he does is he sees this audition for this Shakespeare play. What was it? Macbeth? Was it Macbeth?
It was Hamlet.
I think it was Hamlet. I get those two confused. Okay, so it does with Hamlet with the skull, and so he goes to this audition, and he sees his rival walk up to the same place. So they go in, and he meets the director, the director, as he would say in the show, and he sees the cast and the crew and people playing their parts and doing everything. The typical theater setting, like nothing's out of the ordinary here. And he goes, okay, sorry, I'm having a brain for it. I hate when you glitch in your head. He goes up. He wants to lead. He wants to play Hamlet, and the rival somehow gets the role, and all this contemplating of stuff going through John Lovett's head on like he wants his breakout role. He wants to do this, so he murders the guy and shoves him in a laundry basket, and starts putting on his clothes and like trying to block out what he just did. And then the director comes in with the group of people. And if I'm wrong in any case, guys, please let me know, because this I really did like this episode. So if I miss a detail, please bring it up.
No, I'm like I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay. So he the director and everybody walks in and they're like, "What are you doing? What are you wearing?" And he's like, "I'm playing Hamlet." And then they're like, "I'm playing Hamlet, and I have the skull and all this." And then they give him the role he's supposed to play, which is the guy that gets decapitated in Hamlet. And am I right?
Yeah, his name is Yorick. That was the character's name from the tag that fell on the ground from Winton when he dropped it.
Yeah, I knew him well.
Yes. He knew. Okay, so he does that. And next thing you know, some things just aren't adding up. And I can't remember honestly what like transpired where he realized what was going on, because I know because they were adamant about him putting on this hood and he didn't want to do it
Well,
because no
they
one would see his
explained to him
face,
that
et
it's
cetera, et cetera.
Yorick, and he knows that Yorick's character actually was supposed to die like 20-something years beforehand. So he's kind of confused that he's in this costume and everything. And that, so like, he pretty much comes to the realization that, yeah, they're going to use his head. It kind of like hints back to where he's like, I can't, like when the other guy's sitting there like going, like to town with the skull, he's like, I can't work with this. It's plastic. So it kind of like really hints back towards that moment and everything. And then you got this whole like live skull aspect of them at the end when they're showing him with the skull there. And I think they actually did really, really good with the effects, because you actually get to see that eye in there too, which is really cool. Like it just it was very interesting. And then obviously though, before that we ended up finding out that John Lovitz's character of Barry goes inside of this other room as for the staff. And this room was locked and everything, and he couldn't get in there. And then that's kind of where you get the realization that this is not a theater, and it's actually an insane asylum. And these inmates, I guess you would say, at this point they're going to be inmates. This is like beyond a sane asylum. This is like the insane asylum for people that just couldn't handle it in prison, like legit murderers that were like legit crazy kind of asylum. But like it's just really interesting, their aspect on it. But like he ends up realizing that that's where they are. They chop his head off, and we have that scene. And then at the end of the episode, I think it's really cool because then we got the cops showing up, and we don't really get to see too much of that, but we get this really cool image with the camera like panning over the trash, and you see just John Lovitz's face.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's Todd Masters' work right there, man. Todd Masters is such an amazing fucking special effects artist. For those who are interested in more of his work, I've also interviewed Todd Masters. So check out the episode where me and John went and talked to Todd Masters for a while. And that dude is like fucking legit. He did the new Chucky movies, the new Sonic movie. He's been around. Some people might not agree with like the Sonic stuff and everything, but you got to keep in mind, as a special effects artist, you're not making things exactly the way that you want them. You're making them for somebody else. So, but his work it speaks for itself, hands down. Like, go check him out. He has an awesome Instagram account where he actually posts a lot of the behind the scenes pictures from Tales from the Crypt when he was actually doing a lot of the work there. And it's really cool. Between that and seeing some of the behind the scenes work that he did with the film Slither, it's dude, top notch shit, dude. I'm a huge fan of his work. Now, since we went ahead and I guess we talked about the episode pretty well. Andy, do you have anything that you want to add in on this episode that you might have noticed?
There were a few things for me where, the first thing we see is John Lovitz with the rope, and he's kind of the actor playing an actor. So he's like, I'm going to kill you, you bitch, and Sandra Bernhardt's character is just, oh no, please don't, I mean, it's all the stereotypical stuff.
Yeah.
So you've established that he's not a good actor. John Lovitz, I mean, historically, he's always, his whole shtick is that he's kind of weird looking. He's not the leading man. He's not an action hero. He's not anything. He's just this schlubby guy.
He's the chunky version of Steve Buscemi.
Exactly.
And so
he's a character actor. Yeah.
And the thing that struck me is in the scene where he actually does kill the guy. And what's the dude's name? Winton? I've never even heard of that. Winton. It sounds like something they made up because they wanted to combine like Winston and winning. I don't know, but it sounds completely made up. It sounds like something you would name a character that's supposed to be from a rich family and have a trust fund.
Actually, I will be talking about that after we get done chatting about the episode, because some of these things may hint back to these really, really cool 1950s comic books.
Gotcha.
But we'll chat about that in a minute. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, when John Lovitz is behind, when he's getting ready to kill him, that was a great scene because John Lovitz gets super serious. The light's right in his eyes. You can see the whites of his eyes. Like, that was the moment in the show for me. And it was about halfway through where John Lovitz kind of took this turn. I was like, oh shit, he's getting like serious actor on now. And, you think he's not going to do it. And then all of a sudden he does it because Winton is just gloating so fucking hard. And you know what? In that moment, I would have been John Lovitz's character. I'd have been like, fuck it. I'm right here. Let's do it. Let's go. And of course, that was the irony of later finding out that he's actually in an insane asylum because he had kind of gone insane himself. Right. So it was kind of an interesting progression.
Right.
The only thing about that scene that I didn't like is they did my man Bruce dirty. They did him real dirty. He's wearing those yellow tights, dude. And when he's getting strangled and they're rolling around fighting on the ground, he has got like the most acorn I have ever seen in my life. And I remember I paused the episode and I was like, holy shit, that is literally just the nub of his cock sticking through those tights. They did him wrong, man. They should have hooked him up with a potato. Or something. They should have done something. I'm telling you, bro.
I understand that.
It's not like I often am staring at some dude's dick during TV shows, but it was right front and center. And I was like, oh, that's his cockhead. Oh, man. They did him wrong. Somebody should have fixed that. I'm sorry, but somebody should have fixed it.
Right. Giving him some kind of extension.
It must have been cold in that studio. That's all I can say.
I wonder if anybody even noticed that while filming it. Like,
I don't know how you can't notice that. Great man.
Well, it was in the 90s.
An arrow, but like he's like thrusting it in the air, and I'm just like, damn, bro. That in post? Like, come on.
Well, it did add to the episode. It did add to it.
I guess so. You knew how cold it was in there.
That's for damn sure. Jack, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this one?
Hey. Yeah, I found this online right here. It says that John Lovitz's facial skin was created for the production of Tales from the Crypt, and it's valued at $350 right now.
Oh, that's not surprising. Skin. I've actually looked into a lot of it, and between Todd Masters, who doesn't really sell too much of his stuff off, but more of Kevin Yeager. If you go and look at Yeager Studios and check out the website there, you can actually buy some legit props from Tales from the Crypt. And I'm not talking small ones. I'm talking
they are
big ones.
Yeah,
dude, you can actually.
I could only.
Yeah, you could actually go and purchase the baby Crypt Keeper, like from the episode Lower Birth, on the website, like the one that was actually used for the filming. Like, yeah, it's not cheap by any means. Kevin Yeager is a pretty fucking big name, but. It's just one of those cool things that, for those who don't know, and, say you have a little bit extra cash and want to spend it, feel free, anybody out there, to purchase the Tales from the Crypt baby Crypt Keeper and send it to me. I would be very happy.
Do we know how much it is? Like, is there a way, like, how much is it? I'm curious now. This is insane.
Yeah, I can actually look that up. Give me just a second. But
I'm going to say, in relatively speaking, it probably is less than what it actually cost them to produce if you take materials and time into account.
I really don't know because I believe it's like fully animatronics too. So I'm not 100% sure how much it would cost him, but I believe he was creating a lot of that stuff himself because I know he did the Chucky doll, the original one, and stuff like that. So I know he's had a lot of experience with it, but I don't know exactly how much work went into making the actual the doll itself.
Well, let me ask you this, JB. I know you're a teacher now. Let's say you had to build your own fixture for some project that you're doing in class. Are you going to run out and buy those materials yourself and not get reimbursed by the department?
No. Usually the materials are supplied to you.
Even though he's building these things, I can guarantee you he's like, here's my invoice, bitches.
Right. Well, if that was the case, then he wouldn't be able to keep them. They would be property of the studio. Because that's how a lot of that stuff works, even if you're like a computer programmer and you create something on the clock, it's going to end up being to whoever you're working for and not necessarily your own work. So I'm not 100% sure exactly how that went, especially in the 90s. But I especially with Yeager, because I know he had actually like a pretty big part of putting the show together itself, creating the Crypt Keeper and everything else. And then I believe when I talked to John Kassir, he actually told me that Yeager was there when he auditioned and everything too. So I feel like he didn't get credited for every little aspect that he actually did.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. That's interesting.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Jack?
I was gonna, you know what? It's totally off topic. I was gonna say, after the show, remind me to tell you something in the vein of that stuff. I mean, I can't say it on air, but I wish that, sorry, I wish I had a lot of things, but I want that baby. Do we know the price yet? Because I want to pay that money to get it.
Well, I'm on the website right now, and I'm seeing a lot of the stuff that he has for sale, and believe it or not, he has actually quite a bit of stuff for sale. We're talking. I mean, he's selling the head for Station, Station from Bill and Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alien. So that's for sale. Like this dude, like the one of the original Hellraiser props. We got. I mean, this guy has a lot of stuff for sale. If anybody's ever interested in checking out what he's doing.
Jack,
all right, here we go.
Jack, I want to make sure you never have that Crypt Keeper baby, because I swear if you order a fleshlight right after, those are crimes against humanity.
Oh dear
it's
God!
Not that bad. It's
oh
not
dear
that
God!
Bad.
Don't do it. Don't do it,
I won't. I'll make a vow. I'll promise you that I won't ever do that.
This
Speaking
is
of
a
props
legally
and stuff, what you could see, if you could see it back here, yesterday I bought Baby Yoda. You can barely see it. Let's see. Yeah, right there. Props. I bought it from Walmart yesterday. It's by my Darth Vader. So I like to buy movie stuff and stuff like that, and not take it out of the packaging. Okay. Hey,
So, yeah,
I hear my kids
So
doing something.
do what you got to do.
Wait, how
Don't worry
much is
about
it?
So right now we're looking at $6,850 for anybody out there who wants to purchase the Baby Crypt Keeper. And it is on here that the eyes were borrowed from a Chucky puppet and never returned. And Kevin Yeager actually was the director of that episode, which I did discuss that. But those are just some of the things that they decided to go ahead and put on there when selling this, which is, man, that is one of the like coolest things ever. I fucking absolutely love this. This thing is so cool. Now,
about the same price as a sex doll too. So I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I think you might have to make another hole or two, but I think it's doable. Thanks, Andy. Man. Yeah, definitely. It's really weird the way that they have it up though. You can really tell that they took some of the stuff off of it, which is it's different. You kind of don't expect it, but
that's also very common. Borrowing parts from other places. I remember I was watching a special with Grant Imahara, rest in peace. He was talking about building different animatronics for movies, right? And he was talking about how the base for this animatronic was actually the base for this movie as well, and he would swap parts around because, like you were saying, in their studio or in their workshop, they have the parts available, and if they have them, they're just going to reuse them because it saves in production costs, it saves in time. He doesn't have to reorder all of his parts. He has parts that he knows work, so why not reuse those? So it does kind of make sense when you have something that's very mechanical like that, not to have all of the components, right?
Right. In fact, I went ahead and I got it up so I can actually show all the listeners out there. So that's what it actually looks like right now, and that's actually from. Oh, dude, yeah, that's from the Yeager.
Dude, that is straight Chucky.
Oh yeah,
that's straight Chucky.
Yeah, well, it does say that you can read right there. It says the eyes were borrowed from a Chucky puppet, but I wouldn't be surprised if more than the eyes were, because I wouldn't like. I really think maybe it's very possible that part of the face could have been took as well on that one, but it's really hard telling. The reality of it is Kevin Yeager's probably the only one who really knows what was used for what, and being somebody of that caliber, he probably didn't share every little aspect of everything that happened. Now, one of the cool things I want to go ahead and get into now is the comic book issue. Now, for those who don't know, this was based off of the Vault of Horror issue number 39. And that's actually, I brought up the title page of it. Now, you can kind of tell. Now, what I was going back to with Andy there is the guy's name was Winton. Now, just looking at that image alone, I think it kind of explains a little bit more than, like, so you got a little bit better idea. You can tell that we got some rich people, and obviously it seems like it's late 1800s, early 1900s probably, but it's like a very fancy, like just very rich people. And it's done different. And like, even though these people look like that, they're still starving actors. And there's actually 3 people going for the part in this one. So it's a little bit different on that aspect, but we still have Barry and Winton. But the thing is Winton is the first one to die, and then he goes and kills his friend Nash, who also goes for the role and gets it before him. So we get a little bit of a difference there, and some of the kills are a little bit different too. So, like, even though Winton's one of the first ones to die in the comic book episode, he doesn't die the same way in the actual comic. So in the comic book, what happens is Winton gets pretty much bashed in the back of his head with a sash weight, and pretty much just clubbed to death. But then when we get the kill with Nash, then that's where we get some of the strangulation in there. So it's kind of like they mix the two together just to make the episode a little bit shorter. And I guess it's worth noting that this episode of Tales from the Crypt is actually about 4 minutes longer than the average episode. I'm not sure if anybody noticed that, but this one clocks in a little over 27 minutes when the average episode's in between like 22 to 23. So it's a little bit different. It makes you wonder a little bit, like, because like I'm a lot younger, so it's like hard to say, like, I don't remember when every one of these aired originally. I was born in 88. The show came out in 89. And but it makes you kind of feel like this right here might have been a special episode being a little bit longer. That, or maybe there was just less commercial time for some reason, but it was still an interesting thing to talk about. Jack actually just brought up a picture of Witten being strangled there. That's awesome. That was a great scene. And like you said, Andy, dude, John Lovitz is fucking amazing right there. The work
this is the scene I was talking about, by the way. So Jack, go a little bit further and you'll see exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, that was awesome. I think he just has a small slideshow playing with it.
Damn it.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that were, still kind of different with this is like, now there is a scene in the episode where they're talking and, he's talking about the plastic heads and, they say, oh, someone keeps stealing the props. So like, that's one of those things that like, it never really gets touched again in the episode. But they actually took it a little bit farther in the comic book, and I found it really interesting. So they don't say, oh, someone's stealing the props, really. What ends up happening is we actually get a panel in the comic book where there is a guy there with a burlap sack of heads that he is stealing and taking. So you really don't get like the whole like, oh, he's stealing props. We just get this guy who looks like a fucking crazed maniac. And Barry sees this and everything, and he pretty much faints from it. Like, he goes unconscious. They word it differently, but after waking up, he feels like that was kind of like a dream. Like he didn't really know if that was like what really happened there, but it was just interesting that they actually showed it. So in the episode, they did not show it obviously, but I think it would have been really, really cool if we could have got a scene of somebody going and actually stealing some of these prop heads or the ones that they tried to get beforehand. Obviously this is something where they've tried to get many actors for because, they say, like someone keeps stealing it. So obviously it's been done a few times. So it'd be interesting to see that aspect of the episode that they did not show. And, one of the other things that I thought was pretty interesting is in the comic book, it doesn't just say, oh, it's an insane asylum. They actually take it one step farther. Now, I thought it was interesting because it is a sorry about that. It's a insane asylum for actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it is. So like when you're actually like checking it out and everything, like I don't know, but like, have either of you ever heard of an insane asylum that is just strictly for actors?
No, but there should be.
No, yeah, I think there's a lot of I would say if there is an insane asylum, it's more or less rehab for the people, like for the actors. I wouldn't say insane asylum, but they probably went up there and talked about it's probably a rehab. There's not really an insane asylum, so. But
I don't know. I
that's
just thought it was
interesting.
interesting.
I'm scrolling forward in the episode, and it does say the criminally insane. So, little subtle difference, but something really drives that point home.
Right. Well, criminally insane, I guess that makes a little bit more sense with the episode. And it seems more realistic than insane asylum for actors. But maybe that was something that existed back in the day. Maybe in these times that they're doing the setting, which isn't really like fully just said, like it kind of, I don't know, it gives off like almost a Victorian vibe, I feel. But like with that time setting and everything, like maybe actors were just known for going just batshit fucking crazy. Like I have no idea.
I think that was a liberty that was taken in a lot of comic books and comics in general, TV shows, because I remember as a kid, like watching the, X-Men cartoons and stuff like that. And of course I was a comic book nerd. They were always doing stuff like that. Like the, Leroy Brown School for Children that were mildly underwhelmed, just stuff like that. And it would just, so they took a lot of liberties about that because the internet didn't exist. You couldn't just like pop the internet open and go, is there actually an insane asylum for actors? No. Oh, they made it up. It adds a little something when you're reading it, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It really does. And I don't know. I am going to say I really enjoyed this comic book issue. Like going back, like not too many of those from the 50s to go and change the setting around as much as they did on this one. And it made for a really fun read. For those who do want to go check it out, again, that's The Vault of Horror issue number 39. I highly recommend it. Great. Like the top billing segment is like hands down probably one of the better ones in that issue, but I really enjoyed it personally.
Also,
Jack, I will say this: if you
go ahead,
what
through Facebook Messenger, Jack, I sent you a photo. I'm just going to throw that in there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I guess while Jack's going ahead and checking that out, we've chatted about the episode. We've discussed some of these differences.
Wait. I want to say something though, real quick. If you look at the characters, look how good casting was. Oh shit, where'd it go? Look how good the casting was. Like, I don't know if I can zoom in on it, but
it's kind of a blurry picture. Oh yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like the casting was done very, very well, and that's one of the real highlights, I think, to Tales from the Crypt is like when you're comparing a lot of these comic book episodes to the TV show, is it's almost spot on every aspect. And I mean, like almost down to the way the people look and everything. It's incredible, which I guess kind of goes back to the episode where, obviously your look does matter. So, like I said, we've talked about the episode. I've told you guys some of the differences between the episode and the original source material with the 1950s comic. So we're going to go ahead, take a small commercial break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Hello, this is the Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot, but you can just call me Frank. And when I'm not stomping around the woods throwing rocks at hunters, I like to listen to the Paranormal Punchers podcast. That's right, Paranormal Punchers. They talk about all things paranormal, and they're hilarious. Go find them on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and ParanormalPunches.com.
Do you like the Tales from the Crypt? Do you love the Tales from the Crypt? Even if you've never seen an episode, this podcast is for you. I'm Melissa, your ghostess with the mostest, and host of the Good Evening Kitties podcast. Each week, I break down another great episode from the TV series The Tales from the Crypt. Audio clips are included, so even if you haven't watched that episode, you're good to go. There are also special guests, trivia, mini movie reviews, and much more. What are you waiting for? Check out the Good Evening Kitties podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. That's the Good Evening Kitties podcast. Check it out today.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. A whole new season of spine-tingling tales.
For the first time in We're Not Afraid of the Dark history, we're actually going to watch a erotic scene
together. Just a couple brothers watching porn together. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, on air right now. This is the biggest plot hole I saw this, by the way. How in the fuck does she take him back in town for
Yeah,
But he was
made it a point to bump him, but no, I agree.
How do you not catch this?
I was drunk when I watched this.
Whoa, So were we. Yeah.
But yeah, there's just this giant fucking board right here ready to lock down.
like it has hooks that you latch the fucking door to lock it.
She is on Mr. Skid Up, I'll link to the show there. She does get that. And she's listed as great nudity. She's a red-haired girl. They say she has great natural tits.
See?
You seen her in black people in this episode?
I like how she's exercising while eating it, and then she's in the bathroom taking a shit, reading the story, and the plate's on the floor.
Man, this is also the first episode where our main characters aren't just a bunch of generic white kids.
Everything about our food is changing. The way we cook it, the way we eat it, and the way we share it. And that's why I'm encouraging you to come and check out Pardon My Fork. Conveniently packaged in hour-long episodes and available anywhere you find your favorite podcasts and at pardonmyfork.com. We are talking to home cooks, chefs, Food Network stars, and world food champions. So cleanse your palate and come and get a heaping helping of Pardon My Fork.
Greetings! We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
He's right. We wax philosophic about lots of geeky crap like old video games and movies, toys, cartoons. I don't know, help me out here.
Music, pants, quoting video games that don't have dialogues, shabibans, tasty news,
Unnecessarily long Japanese onomatopoeia.
butt breathers, uncomfortable nature facts.
or how to install a Samoflange.
And unlike all those other podcasts, we at Retro Redoctopus have an exciting rotating host schedule.
Do we? We sure do.
So, if you didn't like the guy flapping his gums this week,
Like me.
worry not, gentle listener. Next week we'll have a whole new host.
Of problems.
Hey, they might still suck, but they'll suck differently.
And you know what's really cool? Retro Reductopus is part of the Dorkening and Inebriar podcast networks, with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
Which is like every other Tuesday. We named it.
Anyways, you can listen to us at iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, or any podcast player cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all things that make growing up awesome.
Win championship belts. If you're not listening to Trick or Treat Radio, here's a taste of what you've been missing.
There's 3 guarantees in life. What are they?
Death, taxes, and Trick or Treat Radio every Friday morning.
This is one of the most convoluted movies I've ever seen in my life.
I'm fucking trying, man.
Hi.
Oh yeah. Hey. Oh yeah.
It's like you took a shit on a pile of shit.
But you shit on him for liking what he likes.
Yeah, well, it's my job.
This podcast is now banned in Germany.
It's me, Giovanni Lombardo Radici.
Shut up! I call bullshit. I demand someone to bring me the face of Lindsay Lohan.
If I had genitals, I would definitely bang her.
Oh, wait. She's a great big fan person.
You just hit the jackpot.
This is a weird movie, huh?
It had action, it had suspense, it had great characters, it had great acting.
I'm gonna strangle you with my jockey shorts.
I don't like mobster movies.
All right, well, here's my take. You're a sick fuck.
Thank you. Now shut the fuck up and let me talk.
Have you ever seen 2001?
The box, right? The box and the monkey.
Available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and trickortreatradio.com.
Arrivederci, douchebags.
And welcome back to Tales from the Podcast. So while we were on that small commercial break there, what was that?
That last commercial, holy wow. I was like,
Yeah. I thought,
what the fuck is going on?
same here.
Yeah, that's actually he'll be on one of our next episodes of Tales from the Podcast. Our good friend Michael Ravenshadow is actually part of that show called Trick or Treat Radio.
Good.
And they're live every Thursday night, and they release their podcast every Friday. and they go through, they pick a movie to watch, usually some kind of indie style movie, sometimes a bigger movie. It just depends on what they do. But there's Johnny Wolfenstein on that show, Michael Ravenshadow, Monster Zero, who might go ahead and say like is hands down probably one of like the leading people I know on horror. Like if you're ever like, oh, I need to know this little tiny weird little thing, this motherfucker knows it. It's insane, his horror knowledge. He's an amazing guy too. But between those guys, yeah, they put on quite the show. There's actually but it's a lot of fun, dude, for real. So while on the commercial break, me and Andy were chatting a little bit. And I was able to pull up something really cool. So I'm going to bring it up to the screen. Now, Andy, if I'm wrong, like the bottom left-hand corner of this is probably one of your favorite aspects. So he took this off
it's not my favorite
Oh,
aspect.
shit.
They did him wrong. They did him wrong, man. Did my man Bruce dirty.
It must have been cold on set that day.
I didn't want to be taking a bunch of screenshots of this guy's poor, cold and underrated acorn. I have no doubt, but it just really, as an actor, I would be so angry about that.
That is so bad.
You know what?
The outline of his testicles, you can see that they're completely shriveled inside. They're up in. I mean, it's baby turtle status.
It really really is. It's really surprising that they even like, I don't know, that's fucking weird. But no, you're 100% right. They fucking did him wrong. I'll say that right now. So before we go ahead and continue on this, why don't we all go through, talk about this, you know, our final thoughts on the episode and give it a rating between 1 and 10. Andy, why don't you go first?
You're muted, Andy. Andy.
No, he's not muted.
9 out of 10. This is a great episode. The only thing that would make it a 10 out of 10 is if it had exposed boobies, but we know that's not going to happen with John Lovitz. But
you want to see John Lovitz boobies?
No, Sandra Burnham. That would fulfill a fantasy from my younger days.
Right. Well, you just said with John Lovitz, we knew it wasn't going to happen. So I was just assuming that you wanted to see John Lovitz take his shirt off.
You know what? At this point, I'll take just about anything. That might have elevated it to a 10. We don't know. John Lovitz is great in this. Bruce, he did a good job of being kind of the arrogant, whatever. Let me tell you, John Astin, like that dude killed it. I don't know if you noticed, but his mustache was drawn on with eyeliner when it zoomed in super close on him. So he had his iconic mustache that we know him for, but it was drawn on. It was just super weird. And like everybody was above and beyond, over the top. The scene where they're talking about cutting, it's a little convoluted. John Lovitz finds out that he's supposed to be Yorick, and he's like, you're all mad. And John Astin just looks at him, his eyes get wide, and he leans forward and he goes, and it was just like, I don't know. This was a really, really good lineup for this show. Obviously the twists, the turns, the everything, even at the end, the cop car is driving past the garbage, and then it zooms in on the garbage and you see John Lovitz's face. They didn't even screw up which eye was which. They showed that it was the other eye opposite from the skull that was still left in the face. Like, it was just the attention to detail, you guys. The attention to detail was super good. I did feel like it moved a little bit quickly through the first half, but then you understand why it had to move quickly in the second half, because they were building that narrative. And listen, it's less than a half an hour. You have to build a full episode in less than a half an hour. Some of them are better than others. This one was very good. I stand by my 9 out of 10.
That's very fair. And may I go ahead and add that this comic book, and keep in mind, for them to turn it into almost a half hour is incredible, because this comic book for this segment is 6 pages. One of those pages is the title page. So just keep in mind that not only did it seem like it could go longer, like this story had enough for it to really keep it going, but they left out one entire kill, and it's only like 5 to 6 pages worth of content that they used to make it. So it's really interesting, that whole aspect. Now, Jack, what did you think about this one? And why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what your rating is?
You know what? I am going to completely agree with Andy on everything he said. This will probably be one of the highest rating episodes, even though I like other episodes over this. But the fact that I actually relate to it, as an actor and going through that stuff and the twists and turns, um, God, like exactly what he says when he leans in and says, and it's kind of like, it's kind of like the Joker and Dark Knight. We all go crazy. Why so serious? And there's a method to the madness. So I am going to give this probably the highest rating I've ever given an episode. I don't want to repeat everything Andy said, so I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. And yes, boobies would have made it flawless.
Are you also speaking of John Lovett's boobies, or?
No, I'm not even speaking of the actress from the beginning. But if they just had like a nurse that was like completely like gutted, against the wall hanging, that would have made it a perfect 10.
Right. So you're into like the necrophilia look.
Well, I mean, it would have fit this episode. It was the only episode, if you notice, that didn't have nudity, really. Except the turtle. I don't know if that's really nudity that Andy pointed out, but it's
a lot of them didn't.
It
be fair. There's probably about 60% that might. Like there's quite a few that don't have any nudity, but on the other end there is quite a few that do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
but it would have been it wouldn't have been overly done. Like like that's the thing. If it would have been like a nurse there, it would have, because that would have shown that the inmates, raped her and then killed her. That just would have been icing on a cake. It wouldn't have been overly done. Like, oh, we have to have nudity just to have nudity. No, that would have shown some freaky shit. So that would have been, so 9.5 out of 10.
All right, I guess I can see that. So for me, I'm gonna have to say pretty much. I guess I have to agree with everybody. This was an all-around great episode. Andy is 100% right with the attention to detail. They did such an amazing job, especially with the face, the skull, just that whole interaction in general. Not to mention some of the other detail in there about just like the concept of doing this play and everything, and then being Yorick alone, not only shows like their attention to detail here, but it shows their attention to detail with the Hamlet and the actual play itself, which is really interesting because it just shows that there was actually research done on this. Like there, and I guess you could take that back to the comic book, but it's just really cool. And then the comic book comparison, I feel, just really adds so much to this episode. Like you have no idea how bad I wish I could have seen that bag of heads in this episode. To me, I know you guys really wanted to see John Lovett's tits, but for me, this is a 9 out of 10. I'm going to have to 100% agree with that. And if they wanted a 10, all I needed to see was a burlap sack full of heads and somebody stealing them. And I would have been 100%. That would have been a 10 out of 10 for me. It was just all around great.
It might have been a deleted scene. It might have been a deleted scene. You don't know.
If it was, I'm sure it would be on one of the many, I guess one of the 2 box sets of it I have, as well as all the other footage I have. Like there's really not too much extra footage out there. Like I'm pretty sure there was something that happened to some of it. I know a lot of it's been lost. I know that MGM's lost a lot of their rights to some of it as well. I know HBO, like there's all sorts of rights issues. So even if there is stuff out there, just going about finding it is super, super hard. They've really hurt us with that one, I guess. But
you've got a really good point, by the way, about the attention to detail, because I'm just now thinking back to when Bruce's character, he puts all the clothes on and he's talking down to John Lovitz and telling him, obviously I don't know anything about Hamlet and I got this part still. It's about all of me. It's about the connections, about looking good. You know, right before he gets strangled, he reaches back and he pulls a tag off of his clothes and he looks at it and he goes, what the hell? And then he gets strangled. Yeah, right there. Jack, you have it pulled up. And I'm just now realizing that was what that tag was.
Yeah.
He pulled that tag off and realized it said Yorick, and he was like, fuck is this? So that attention to detail is really, really good. They had the scene where John Lovitz looks through the keyhole and he sees a person sitting at that desk and then doesn't really think too much about it. But I'm kind of with you. Like that scene, we didn't necessarily need that scene. That could have been a throwaway. If he had opened that door and then looked around and everyone was missing their head because they had been trying to find the right Yorick head, that would have made made it a 10 out of 10 maybe.
Right. And one of the other things I really didn't get to touch on, I guess, like it's another difference with the comic book is they don't really have the whole inside of the insane asylum type thing either. What it does is it pans around to the front of the building where you're actually seeing the actual like a logo or name of the building itself. So it's kind of interesting that they both kind of still take from the going through the back entrance type thing, but it's just really cool. And I think the comic book kind of really nailed this one a little bit better than the episode, but that's a very fine line, just showing you guys like this comic book was fucking amazing for this issue.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we've discussed what we all think about this episode. We did the comic book, everything else. We do have a small little thing that we want to show you guys. So going back to talking about actors, I'm actually producing a show for Jack a little bit too. His late night chat with Jack. And recently you had Joe Lujan on there, right?
I did. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was great. It was
And
fun.
I believe you got a spot in one of his newer films, right?
Wait, say that again?
Yeah. I said, I believe you got a spot in one of his films too, correct?
I do. Yeah. I've been cast. My character was announced. His name is Maddox, but I can't say his superhero name. But I've been cast as a superhero in the Immortal Wars 4 Redemption movie, the final Immortal Wars comic book movie in his franchise. And we shot a like a teaser, like a little teaser to literally be the cast announcement, and everyone you see in this teaser is a part of this movie in some way, shape, or form. I was sent a reaction video and I reacted to it. Very, very simple, very easy. And it just posted on Friday, yesterday. And it's really exciting because it was a secret I've held for 3.5 years so far. So for me to do it, like to come out with a bang was quite amazing.
Nice.
That's really cool. And for the whole audience out there, I have chatted with Joe myself, and we got permission to go ahead and air this teaser trailer. So I'm going to go ahead and set us to the side over here, air this trailer, and I guess you guys are going to get all of our instant reactions. So here we go.
Do we need to mute I think we need to mute ourselves.
All right, so she begins to float. But before that, the fire has to start to show. So fire circles her. She rises. Then she makes eye contact with Triclops. Yeah, and then she attacks.
Give it up, DK! Just fix the cords. Put them out to play.
Knock my head off.
Ow! Just because of that traitor thing?
Alright, you got me. Not bad. My turn.
Cute.
Hell yeah, very cool.
That looks fucking awesome. I know Joe does a lot of his own editing too. It's like that's fucking sweet. Joe did a fucking killer job on that, man. Great job, Joe. If you're listening in on this, man, that's wow. That looked fucking awesome, dude. I'm very impressed. I can't wait to see this.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack,
I
may
can't wait
add,
to film.
This is probably
I'm
not
so
the day and
excited.
age where he should show you hitting a woman.
Well, fuck
Maybe
you.
she's more powerful than he is.
You know what? She probably.
No,
is.
I can't even contracts and stuff. I can't even. I'm not at liberty to say what my character is. So
that's fair.
You know,
We're
he
not
didn't show a
asking
lot.
for any information. We're
Yeah.
just we
But it's exciting. No, I'm excited. I'm excited to film. You know, I'm getting supplements in on Monday, and I'm amping every single thing up that I've been doing in the gym. You know, Andy, you don't know this, but I lost 50 pounds of fat for this film since February, and now I am like bulking completely. Oh, Joe's in. Joe's here. Look at there. Joe's here.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
up,
definitely
Joe? Thank you so much.
Really, really cool, Joe. And man, dude, the effects that you were using with some of the some of the superheroes, especially with the hand thing and the chest, like it's honestly, I'm very impressed, dude. That looked amazing. I really truly cannot wait for this to come out and actually check it out. It's gonna be really cool. I'm very excited for you, man. I really am. And Jack, I hope you realize that Viagra doesn't count as a supplement.
Hey, hold on.
I bet Bruce
I
was wishing
take
he had some Viagra during the filming of this episode. I'm just throwing that out there.
no, Viagra is not a part. Well, I do. I'll get personal. I do have like 6 bottles of Viagra. So fuck you guys. It helps.
Of course,
it's awesome.
Seaman Hunter would.
Oh man.
You know. It's funny. It's funny. and here's a cool thing too. I'm so excited. Me and Joe, we've been working with each other like behind the scenes with a lot of with a lot of projects, and this will be the first official project that we are on set for, like, you know, face to face. So I'm really excited about that. Me and Joe have a great friendship. We always you know, like when we get on the phone, our phone conversations are not just like 5 minute, 10 minute. No, when me and Joe get on the phone, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hour phone calls. And, you know, and that's just the relationship we have. He's such a, you know, he's like me. And I was telling him this the other night. I was watching, when I watched Atilophobia, his newest, or his I don't know what you even call it. It's so dark and twisted. But this film, the second one, because I was telling Joe about this other project that we're in discussion about doing while Immortal Wars is filming, and I was telling him the plot twist I was thinking about for this film, and I'm watching it, and I can tell Joe and I think alike when it comes to twist, because the end of Atilophobia 2, I'm not giving it away. So, I mean, I know Joe said I could, but I won't talk about that. But the twist is something I would write. Like, and that's what I love about Joe. We're so eccentric. We're both eccentric. We're both creatives. We both love horror. And we love that twist. We love that gut-wrenching moment when you think you know what's going on, and then the carpet is completely pulled out from under you. So I absolutely love it. And everyone that's watching, check out carcass-studios.com. You can find out everything about Joe Lujan there, his comic books. I have actually been reaching out to comic book companies, or the stores. I'm trying to get by your stuff. I'm literally contacting every store you have to get their stuff, and you're sold out everywhere. So I'm trying, and I tell them, I'm like, I'm a good personal friend of Joe, but I don't want to ask him for his free stuff. I want to support. I want to buy it. So I am trying to do my research, Joe, to find your comic books, The Vanquishers, which is what Immortal Wars, it takes place after Vanquishers. So that's what the movie's based on, The Vanquishers. It's pretty, oh my God, it's badass.
It sounds right up my alley, you know, being a comic book guy myself. But may I go ahead and add that there is a very distinct difference between you two, though. Joe is definitely a much better looking man. So there is that.
Hold on. You say, wait. Okay. You know what? Yeah, Joe, you know, but I got the blue eyes that'll pierce your soul.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Joe has the voice of an angel and the looks of a god.
He does. He's a singer too. He's oh gosh, I have it. Hold on. I'm gonna bring it up because I have the picture. Or do we still have it saved? Or did we
we don't.
We probably
are interested. He was in the first part of the teaser trailer there where he's sitting down talking. So that right there is Joe, and I just got to meet him myself recently, so I want to go ahead and add in, like, he's a genuine dude. He's really nice, very down to earth. He not only writes and like directs his own stuff, but he edits. I mean, everything. This guy is fully hands-on, so it gives you a whole different kind of appreciation for the work that he does. I'm very impressed with it. I'm happy to say that, you know, Joe is, you know, a friend of the show and everything, and he's just a really cool dude. So anybody out there, go check him out. Check out his work. Awesome guy. His comic books look sweet as fuck. His films look amazing. This guy really puts his heart and soul out there. So go check him out. Look up Carcass.
And he's on iTunes.
Yeah. But by the way, guys, that's Carcass Studio with a hyphen in between. Carcass-studio.com. Check them out. Now, Andy, I want to thank you again, man, for coming on here, doing this episode with us. I will say also that you might want to thank me because this was such a good one to get you on. No, I'm joking.
Thank you, JB, for getting in touch with me 20 minutes before we were live. I appreciate that, man. You are the man.
I love you.
He is so prompt, right, Andy? He's so prompt and respectful about time.
Dude,
No, I love you guys. I will always, 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 always be here. I love you possibly more than Joe does.
I believe that. I feel like I could definitely have you on your knees in a few minutes, and I don't think I could do that with Joe. And I'm pretty sure that you and I have a connection, Andy. You might not know it or realize it or think about it, but I think about it all the time.
My problem is that you're probably a little bit closer related to Bruce in that scene.
Maybe. So before we go,
by the way, the thickness doesn't matter. It's the quickness that matters.
Oh, dude, definitely, especially when you're talking about other men. It's about quickness, nothing else.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the record, I do not condone this conversation. I'm just going to go out there and say it. I don't condone this.
That's fine.
But I'm
JB,
peeking.
you're just going to borrow some of the Viagra. It's fine.
Yeah. Mr. Seaman Hunter does not condone this, but whatever.
Bringing it back around, you guys. I do appreciate you, and honestly, always love talking to you. So thank you.
Oh, dude, thank you again, man. I love having you on. You've been on quite a few times, man. You're a Tales from the Podcast regular, to say the least. So
hell yeah, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
I need to go ahead and add you to the website. Talking about the website, guys, go check us out, talesfromthepodcast.com. We got all of our fucking links there, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, our Twitter, everything. Check us out, like us, subscribe. There's even a link to Patreon if you want to support the show. And I would love that. I really would.
Oh, wait. Don't forget about our new shirts. We got new shirts up.
Yes, we do. So there are some shirts over there at our T Public. And of course, all these links are down below at the banner, guys. So check them out. Look at our T Public. Not only is Tales from the Podcast stuff on there, but some stuff from our other shows as well. So go check it out. You can get the first look at the new 2 Guys 1 Crypt logo. I'm not going to give it away on here, but if you go to T Public, you can go ahead and get yourself a little sneak peek before our next show. So check us out there and everything. Andy, why don't you tell everybody where they can check you out, man? Other than the show notes when this is released on podcast, but for everybody out there right now, let them know where they can find you, your live shows, and what catchers are your shows on.
For sure, dude. And my catchers are everywhere. I mean, Spreaker, Apple, Google, TuneIn. Honestly, anywhere you find good quality podcasts like Tales from the Podcast, you're going to find us. It's called Pardon My Fork. It's also called Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. If you want to check out a little bit of car action with some serious doses of comedy, come and check that one out. We always have a good time. The Wednesday live tastings for Pardon My Fork is at 7 p.m. Pacific time. As a matter of fact, if Joe ever wants to join us for that, he is more than welcome. So make sure you come and check that out. Like us, subscribe on facebook.com/pardonmyfork and any podcatcher you're on. If you like us, well, try us. And if you like us, then let us know. We appreciate that.
May I add your show, like, again, I'm going to reiterate, like, it's for everybody. That's one of the great things about what you do. Like the Boost, Booze, and Barbecue, I guess, kind of separates a little bit. You gotta be a little into some of the car stuff a little bit, but especially like Pardon My Fork, it relates to everybody. We all love to eat and drink. Maybe not drink everybody, but for sure eating. Everybody really does. So give him a listen, check it out. Like he has some pretty fucking cool content out there. It's definitely worth checking out. Not to mention if you follow Andy, his personal Facebook, dude has some pretty funny pictures he shows too. He's a funny dude.
And let's not forget about the alligator that we cooked, the whole alligator last weekend. So if anybody wants to check that out, we've got tons of photos. The video is almost there.
That's actually really cool, man. Now, I guess before we get too farther, I do have to say that you forgot to let me know how that alligator was. So I'm sorry for turning Tales to the Podcast into a food show, but how the hell is grilled gator?
It was really, really good, dude. Really good. It was sort of like, I mean, everybody says it tastes like chicken. This was a little bit more like the texture of chicken meets the flavor of frog legs. Does that make sense? Do you know what a chicken tenderloin looks like after you cook it and it just kind of peels apart? That's the consistency it had. Not fishy by any stretch. Because this was a farm raised alligator, though, it had quite a bit more fat inside than I thought it was going to. So I think the next time around, I think that I'm going to separate the big muscle groups on the tail and do something to kind of let air get around those so that they cook out a little bit more. Besides that, it was fantastic. I still have a little bit in my freezer. I've been nibbling on it here and there. Super good.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really interested in trying it grilled. I've told you before, I've had it fried before. And I agree with you kind of like on the frog league kind of taste there, but it was fried. It's a little too chewy. So I'd be really interested in trying it grilled. So you ever come over here to the Northern Ohio section, man, I would love for you to cook us up some gator.
I will do it. I'll bring gator with me.
You say that, I'm thinking of what's the movie The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg and their
yeah.
And wasn't his pimp named Gator when Will Ferrell was playing the pimp?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's just where my head went on that. But thank you again for showing up on here, man. It's been a blast, dude. So Jack, let's go ahead and wrap this shit up, buddy. So thanks everyone for checking us out. Remember, talesfromthepodcast.com. Check out all of our links below, our TeePublic, our Patreon. Give us a look, man. You might really enjoy some of the stuff that you find on there. So with that being said, guys, the crypt
is closed.